actually didn't even drink my drink when I cheered you. That's bad luck.
Yeah, that's bad luck.
Yeah,
bro.
another one.
Amateur hour.
Yeah, cheers.
L'chaim.
Good Shabbos, actually.
Couldn't have picked a better day to do this. We actually couldn't have picked a better day to do this, but that'll come up just now.
Should we start?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Excuse me, that's going to be an interesting thing, burping in the middle of this podcast.
It just adds texture.
It adds something beautiful to the listener's ear, doesn't it? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Time for Us. Today we have Luke Volker as our guest. He is an actor who does modeling on the side to pay his bills.
Thank you.
And we're going to have a lovely, heartfelt, deep chat, I think. It's just going to unfold.
Chinwag.
A chinwag, yeah. Naturally unfolding chinwag. Today's episode is sponsored by Leonista, which is 100% Karoo agave spirit that is produced locally. I think that's absolutely incredible. Leonista actually means lion energy or lion person. And they approached me because I think they felt some synergy, which I really love and appreciate. The owner of the company, Sarah, went to Mexico and she learned from the maestro distillers how to create this incredible product. It follows the same production process as mezcal, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it has a subtly smoky flavor to it. And it can't be called tequila or mezcal because it's not from Mexico. That's why we call it 100% Karoo agave, but it's basically the same thing. So on that note, again, another cheers.
Cheers. Also, by the way, guys, sorry to step on your ad there,
Go for it.
but I do absolutely 100% endorse this brand. This is delicious. It really is.
It's banging. We're drinking, I think, one of their cocktails that they have on their website called an instant Paloma. So,
It's
yeah,
good.
it's delish.
Yeah.
This is our second one, so
So we're getting there, yeah.
we're lubricating. Luke,
Yes.
hello.
Danny, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today, actually. It's been a good day.
Nice.
Yeah, bit of a stressful week, but it's ended off really nicely, so I'm happy about that.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear that. So energies are high. We're feeling optimistic, pumped.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of thrive on optimism, and if you go through periods in your life, you know this, where things are quiet for long enough where you start to question everything that you're doing. Especially if you're pursuing like a big endeavor, I always call it taking a big swing at life, which, by the way, is one of the things I admire most about you.
Oh,
I mean it.
thank you.
I mean it.
Thank you.
But yeah, so like
Yeah.
when you're doing something like that, when things have been quiet, you do start to question, should I not just go work at a marketing agency or, for my parents or whatever? But things have started to turn around.
That's great.
Yeah, and all in the space of 1 week.
Wow. That's how it happens. I swear to God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always darkest before the dawn, and that also can happen on a short-term basis.
Yeah. It's like they say overnight success takes 10 years.
Yeah,
It's like it actually doesn't happen overnight. It does, seemingly, but it's that consistency, that dedication.
yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
one of the best things my dad ever said to me. He said it takes a long time to become an overnight success.
Wise.
Yeah.
What's your dad's name?
Paul.
Paul.
Shout out to Paul.
Paul.
Dad. Shout out to Mom. Shout out to Max, my sister.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so you said earlier that times have been a little bit slow, but as of recently, things have picked up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, you mentioned earlier, like, should I just join a marketing agency or whatever? What did you study? Like, what would be the fallback?
I got a marketing degree.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a degree in marketing communication.
Have you ever, like, worked outside of acting and modeling?
Outside of nonsense. Well, we had to do an internship.
Okay.
So I did a month internship at a company. I don't know if I can mention names. Or I probably can.
You probably
but
can,
it
as long
doesn't
as
really
it's nothing
matter.
bad. I think it's only when you're saying something bad that you should avoid mentioning names.
Okay, well, then I'm not going to mention names. But it was
Okay.
pretty much just like, the culture was shit and the pay was shocking. And it was just not, it was not activating my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
I
wasn't
find
It wasn't
marketing,
challenging. It's
it's
boring
dark.
as hell.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I mean, I finished my degree and a year later, I realized that you can learn everything that I learned in those 3 years in 3 months of just having Instagram.
Wow. Yeah. In terms of there being like content that's fed to you, giving you marketing tips,
Well, just
or just like running your own Instagram.
So I finished my marketing degree in 2017, and at the time Instagram had been around for what, 5-ish
I have no idea.
years? I don't know either.
Yeah.
But it was relatively, it was newer.
Yeah.
Now you really don't need a degree to work in marketing.
I agree. I think you just need to actually do it.
Yeah,
That's the best way to learn.
I have nothing against people that work in marketing. It's just not for me. You know, I'm a knucklehead. I like to fucking. I'm a boots on the ground guy. I like to do shit. Plus, like,
it's like so many dynamics as well. It's like a lot of politics. I found. I also worked in marketing for a stint.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you study marketing?
I studied English literature and media. But as you said, with marketing, it was my first job out of university. So I came in at a very low salary. I was very green, but I was
What company?
It was a marketing agency in Durban called Niche Digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was Ogilvy.
Okay.
Just over there.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, fuck me. Way to have a proper advertising experience. No wonder you left.
Yeah, everyone hated it.
Yeah, it's deep. Okay, so tell me how we got into modeling and acting.
Well,
how do we make that transition?
Well, I've been with the same modeling agency for 13 years.
Which is?
Boss.
Okay.
Bro, I got scouted at a water polo tournament when I was 15. And, you know, like you're 15, like that's the most, it's the biggest compliment that you can get.
Yeah.
You know, woman tapped me on the shoulder. I assumed that she was going to tune me for, you know, just like being loud or whatever. But she asked me if I wanted to join Boss. And I was like, yeah, of course. And it has done, you know, I can't tell you like how many good things I've gotten out of doing modeling. Visas and agency, like they facilitate the ability to move around the world freely and live there for free until you pay them back with jobs and stuff. It's been lovely. It's just as I get older, I think I'm not as harsh about it as I used to be. I used to, you know, just be like very disrespectful about it, which is not cool.
In what way?
Just like I used to just dismiss it as a profession.
Okay. Yeah.
Because so my biggest issue as I started to become like self-aware, like sentient of a person. The biggest issue I had was I find it to be a very unique industry in that you can work your ass off way harder than anyone else and never even get an opportunity to do it.
It's crazy.
Whereas you can also take the piss out of it and make a lot of money and move around and get all these perks. And there was just something innately wrong about it because it's not how I was raised.
Yeah.
So
by the sounds of things, you took the taking the piss approach.
Yes.
Okay.
But now what I'm finding is I appreciate the fact that I can do it. But my mom told me two things when I was growing up. She said, "Don't make your obvious thing your only thing."
Okay.
This was just around the time where I remember first becoming aware of the fact that I was like nice-ish looking. And she pretty much was, the way I interpreted it was, she was saying, you are attractive. Just know that in the back of your mind and then put it there.
Yeah, don't make it like your whole identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I was 15 or so. And since then, the thing that I have always prided myself on is intelligence and just being a good person. You know, being a good friend, being a good listener, being an attentive boyfriend, whatever. And the other thing was, she said vanity is ugly. So I had a bit of a complex about it, you know, so that's probably why I developed such a strong divergent path to most, where I really never leaned into it.
Yeah, maybe that's also why you took the like mentality of kind of taking the piss a bit.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because like, you know.
But don't you think we're all innately vain? I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
It's okay to be vain.
Yeah, but growing up for me, it was innately not okay.
Yeah. Maybe she did you a favor, actually, because I guess at that age, being vain at 15 is like a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And the person it cultivates is like a whole nother
Really,
person.
you can grow up to be the biggest arsehole ever.
Yeah.
And you can also, I mean, those are your formative years. You can grow up you could have been born with the potential to be, exceptional in certain fields, but never pursue it because you latched onto this one thing. So it was a huge fucking benefit that she gave me. But so now that I'm older, I realize I do have the luxury and the good fortune of being able to do it. And I give it the respect that it's due, because it absolutely does deserve that respect. But it's not my bread and butter. It's not the whole like center of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did that become something that you decided to clearly differentiate or pursue? Because it sounds like you were scouted and then it became something that you were naturally good at, and it became naturally lucrative. And then at what point were you like, okay, actually, I'm going to make this shift into acting? Or was it quite a natural progression?
Well, it's two different things. Firstly, when I got scouted with Boss, I still had braces. I hadn't even started on Rakatan yet. So
Shut up.
I was like a nice looking kid.
Crisis.
But I booked my first job I don't know.
With braces?
No. It was like maybe 6 months later for You magazine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Awkward farquad, bro.
Really?
I only developed like a man's body like 3 weeks ago.
Do you have those pictures around?
Yeah, I'll send them to
Please
you.
send them to me.
I will show you them. It's horrible, but it's good. It's important.
It's growth.
Yeah.
Development.
But with acting, it was the first thing I ever wanted to do since I was 6. And then, so when Boss signed me, I was like, yeah, sick. And then through the trajectory of my life, 5 months before finishing my degree, was actually like just as we were approaching our finals, I had a flare-up of my autoimmune condition. They didn't know yet at the time what it was. First time was in just before finals for matric, and they diagnosed it wrong.
Can you describe what the flare-up is? Like, what are you experiencing?
Yeah, so it's called anti-MOG. It stands for myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein antibody.
Wow.
I've said that 1,000 times.
Could not repeat it. Yeah, anti-MOG.
Yeah, so like I can roll it off the tongue, but
Yes.
Roll it off the tongue. It's the only fucking language you speak. So a flare-up is I'll have a big seizure.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's so hectic.
yeah, and then I'll be out of it, lumbar puncture, and then hospital coma for a few days, paralyzed from the waist down for about a week or so. And then so the thing is, the way that MOG works is, the mechanism, I suppose, is it's lesions on the spine and brain.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So the lesions on the spine give me paralysis. So this is while I'm paralyzed, also a catheter, which is tube up the wanger, being in a bag. Can't walk, can't feel them. And then on the brain, I call it Donald Trump syndrome, because you are Forrest Gump.
Okay.
So for like a couple weeks, I'm like severely mentally handicapped.
Really?
But they pump you full of prednisone, which is steroid.
Does that like add to being like a bit?
No, so that I'm not really sure what that obviously combats the spread of it in your body. I really don't know.
What are the ramifications of doing that? Is it like having that much steroids in your body afterwards? Are you a bit fucked?
So I'll put it this way: when you leave the hospital, you stay on a schedule. And by the way, this is only realized this the most recent time I had a flare-up, which was 2020. But basically what happens is when you leave and you go home, you're on a schedule that tapers off. And it's a blanket drug that they give to anyone with an autoimmune condition. And you'll start at, say, like 70 or 80. 2 weeks later, down 10 milligram, and you'll go down like that, slowly, down to 0.
So during this process, do you have to be taken care of? Sorry, out of interest. So you like back with your family, or you have your partner taking care of you, whatever it is. You become like...
You don't leave the hospital until you can walk.
Okay.
And you've done like a bit of rehab. But once you get home, you can't drive. You can't. You can walk around and you can have conversations, but you are functioning at realistically like 40% brain capacity. But in the hospital, they have you on 1,000 milligrams of prednisone. So the reason I call it Donald Trump syndrome is because, like I said, you are an idiot. You're a full-on moron. Not to get political, sorry, gang. You're an idiot, but you've got 1,000 milligrams. So you also develop delusions of grandeur.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you have like a god complex.
Crazy.
So this steroid makes you feel invincible, and you also think that you're the smartest person in the world.
Really?
But you're a fucking idiot. This would make for an amazing podcast.
That's shocking.
And that lasts like 2 weeks.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Has anyone who's been around you in that period of time been like, holy mother of God, I'm so glad that you're back and it's Luke here, because they were like, you don't understand how impossible you are. Like, how do you know that? Because surely you're not compass mentis enough to see, because you're high on drugs, like you've been completely drugged up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, do you feel like I'm being hectic, or is it more like you come out of this manic state and then your people around you say, by the way, Luke, you were impossible?
Every single person.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have no idea.
Okay.
But they've told me some of the shit that I was saying.
Really?
I remember saying this stuff, but I remember how it felt when I was saying
But
it.
it's your lacquer.
Yeah.
You were like, this is
I was like,
logical.
obviously I'm the smartest guy in
You're
this hospital.
too dumb to understand.
Why am I not teaching these doctors? It's literally like that, bro. It's fucking crazy.
I'm finished.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm long walk for a short drink of water. This happened approaching my college finals, and I was in the hospital, and I get a message from my agent saying IMG is going to sign you. And I just remember thinking, the universe is listening. What it meant was I was on the heels of finishing the degree that I didn't, of an industry I didn't want to go into.
Okay.
And when this big agency wanted to sign me, I knew that what would come with it is they're going to help me to get to America.
Okay.
And then I could pursue acting.
Okay.
It was the first, not the first, but it's a very profound lifeline that God sent me. Because without that, I might have never had the hodung to actually roll the dice, and trying to get a work visa for America is difficult.
Yeah.
When I left for America was the end of the first ever like successful modeling season I ever had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. So you go to America. How old are you now? Just to have like a clear understanding.
I'm 22.
You're 22.
This, by the way, this is just maybe 2 weeks into having met Charlbi for the first time.
Okay. I was going to ask you, so when 2 weeks into meeting Charlbi, as in prior to America or like in America, you met her there?
2 weeks before leaving.
Okay.
And she was also going to New York.
Okay. So you said you've always wanted to be an actor. It's always been something that you've been drawn to and impassioned by growing up from, like, just it's a part of who you are. Mm-hmm. At what point did that become a reality?
So once I moved to America, I started going to castings, doing jobs and stuff. And I've relatively quickly got an acting agency, which is not that easy to do. But again, another huge boost by IMG. Shout out, David. Love you. They got me an acting agency, and I've just started doing, a couple auditions a week, and getting my hit rate for callbacks was huge, which is lovely. Just like it's kind of things that you need along a career. Like you need people whose opinion you respect to tell you you're not crazy for pursuing this thing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, my dad always said it takes a long time to become an overnight success. I pursued professionally acting for 5 years in America, and then when I came back here in 2022, after Charlbi passed, I reached out to APM, acting agency here, best agency in South Africa. I book a music video. And that was awesome. Loved it. Like that. So that was my first like real acting gig. Just a music video.
Okay.
But it was like a nice like role in it. I played like the biggest dickhead. And shout out to Svea.
So many shout outs.
Yeah, a Swedish pop star.
Okay.
Then the second thing they sent me, I just started like booking stuff, you know.
Okay, but you never trained in acting.
No, I never went to school, but you don't, you know, obviously there's a lot of value in going to acting school, but you can also get a lot of value just by being an observer of the world and people, really. And it sounds cheesy, but it's true.
I agree with you.
However, you do need to do like, you do these intensive courses. So you'll do like, for example, my best acting coach, shout out Bob Krakow, you do a 4-day intensive. So you'll do 4 days, 4 hours, and every day you'll get something to work on. And every time you do one of these intensives, you get better at acting.
Yeah.
Every day you get better at it.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of those, but I didn't go to school for it.
Yeah.
But I come back here, audition for a show, got down to me and maybe like 2 other guys. I didn't book it. And 2 weeks later, I get an email from my agents, and they say, the creators of the show want to write you in. They want to write a part for you. Do you want to do it? I said, yeah, of course. So write me in. The small part, but it's, you know, relatively crucial to the story. That's coming out on the 7th of March. It's called White Lies on Mnet. It's going to be really good. So this is last year, April.
Okay, cool.
When we shoot this TV show.
Yes.
Shoot the show, go to Germany. The day that I got on my flight to go from Cape Town to Germany, half an hour before I left for the airport, I did this quick little audition for a movie. I really like, you know, I hadn't put like the respectful amount of time into it, but I loved the material, and I felt a lot of guilt about it. So while I'm in Germany, I'm messaging my agent saying, please let Christian know that I just want another chance. Just give me another shot. A few weeks go by, get a message from them saying you got a call back for us. I was shocked. And he and I have instead of having a callback or a chemistry read with the woman that I'd be acting alongside, he just wants to have a conversation. And we have a conversation, and he had seen me audition for something else that he was a part of, and he liked it. And he also knew my story, and he said, I think that you are the right person to bring truth to this character.
Okay. So we got signed by IMG. We took it as our golden ticket, and we went to America.
Right.
We've met Charlbi 2 weeks before that, who was
Right.
also going to America.
Going back to America.
Going back.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you guys link up while you were there in the States?
Yes. So
Okay.
do you want to hear the story of how we met?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. So she was coming out of a relationship, and a mutual friend of ours I learned later, had said to her, she wasn't like, I like to say, because it's funny, that she was looking for a rebound,
Okay.
but she wasn't.
Okay.
But I did later, once we started dating, especially after we got engaged, I did later start calling myself the rebound that won.
Okay.
So anyway.
Catchy.
So thank you. So a mutual friend had Charlbi said like I'd like to like go on a date with a guy or whatever, and mutual friend had said to her, this is the only non-vanilla guy in Cape Town that hasn't tried to have sex with me, because it's not really my style. I'm not like a fuck boy. So we get set up on the States, a lot of build up, texting. I texted her on Instagram after my friend had told me about Charlbi, and I left it for 2 weeks, and then she kind of texted me 2 weeks later after telling me about it for the first time, and said like, are you mental, bro? Like, why is this taking so long? Then I, for the first time, like looked at her profile, And I realized, oh, this is like the most beautiful chick I've ever seen. I hadn't met her yet, so this will sound superficial for a second. But I was like, this is like the hottest chick I've ever seen.
She literally is, so.
So I messaged her and I said something super lame. I believe my exact wording was, what is your policy on talking to losers? And she replied,
So self-deprecating.
I know,
Luke.
bro. That's my fucking style.
It is. Rebound that one. What is your policy on talking to
I
losers?
know, bro. You see, because of my mom.
Yeah.
Sort of ended up,
Vanity is ugly.
Ended up really fucking benefiting me. Anyway, so she said something like, as long as they have a good heart. So like, okay, away. It's on. Start chatting, set up a date for like a week later. And 3 hours before the date, my best friend had come down from Joburg. And I'm hanging out with him, and she texts me, and she says, hey, I'm just going to bring a friend, if that's cool. We're busy playing Uno. And I'm 22. And I said to him, I was like, she's bringing a friend. He was like, oh, bro. And I was like, bro, it's not a date. And he was like, nah, not really. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm not going to go. And I'd shown him her again, hadn't met her yet. And he was like, no, you should go, bro. And I said, okay, I'll go if you come. He was like, no, I'm not coming on your date. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm not going to go. And he was like, no, you must go. So I said, okay, I'll go if you come. So he comes with me, Mike. Shout out to Mike. So comes with, and this, I was 22, so I had all these like cool plans of like what I was going to do and like what I was going to say and stuff. At Kloof Street house, I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm thinking like, I'm so jass, and you know, had all these moves and shit, negging and stuff.
Oh no, sis.
I know. So
oh no.
I'm smoking a cigarette, and I just remember looking to my left, and this chick is glowing in this white dress, just starts levitating up the stairs, and my brain just went, pew, off. Fucking.
Thank God, offline.
Just free diving.
Yeah.
It was just pure, just autopilot.
Yeah.
Just pure honesty. Hit it off. It was amazing, and we hadn't even kissed. And 2 weeks later, I was supposed to go to New York, and she was also going to New York. So to answer your question, when I got there, the day I got there, I saw her, and we spent every day together the whole time I was there.
Really? So it was like proper love at first sight. I know we hate saying that, but I think it exists. I've experienced it with Aaron, so it does exist. Sorry. For those who haven't experienced it, that's also fine, but it exists for those who have.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
And it absolutely was.
Yeah. So
And
it was like on from the word go.
It was on from the fucking second
From the
we
second
met.
you saw each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Absolutely.
I back that 100%.
Yeah.
And that is such a magical, sacred, ridiculous experience.
And not a lot of people get to experience it,
Yeah.
which is a shame.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can.
I don't know if you can. I don't think we should sell that dream to people. I think that everyone's life path and everyone's soul and like the purpose that we're here for is different. We have our own stories. And I don't think everyone will get to experience that. I don't think everyone will even meet the person that they're going to be with for the rest of their life. Like, people will be lonely till the day they die. Some people will be. It's just the truth. But cheers to us experiencing that.
Cheers to that.
It does exist. We're not being pessimist, or I'm not being a pessimist saying that it can't happen, but yeah. It's
Well,
not a promise that you can.
So the way I think about it, my policy on it has for a long time been the girl you're with and the friends you have around are a good reflection of where you're at that time in your life. And when she and I met, it was the first time I've ever been like genuinely in the pocket. I'd finished a degree with IMG, going to New York, had my first ever big modeling season in Cape Town, and I was just in the zone. And I think I think about it often, if I had met Charlbi maybe like a year ago for the first time, she probably wouldn't have liked me. But I was just in the zone, and things just flowed. So I think, with regards to like meeting like the right one for you, searching for the right person for you is not the answer.
No, you can't.
You have to be selfish with your time and with your energy. And when you are in the zone and you're really just feeling it sounds cheesy, but like when you are feeling your authentic self, you attract that person.
Yeah. It's
You know
like
what
when
I'm
you
saying?
step into flow, when you step into the stream and the current and you're like
Exactly.
one with the flow of the universe,
Exactly.
then these things just come towards you. So basically, go from the word go, and then your whole career up until obviously she tragically passed, you guys were together
Yeah.
and traveling and working and in the same industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, you know, like growing up for me, when I was younger, my parents own a successful company together, Volker Consulting, shout out.
I love it. No, keep them coming.
It's because of YoTV back in the day.
Really just shouting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that when they'd be like, excuse me, someone in the crowd.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It just like imprints on you.
Yeah, it's very millennial of you.
Thank you.
But-
So, as I get older, you know, you get older and you really realize how prominent an aspect of your life work is.
Yeah.
So it means way less that they couldn't leave the office. Like it actually really helps that you work with someone who you have the best chemistry with on the planet, driving to the same goal, and that's what it was like for me and Charlbi.
Okay, so it's been it's almost a year and a half since she passed away.
Well,
Coming on to?
Well, she died on the 29th of August, 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's the greatest tragedy, one of the greatest tragedies I think any person can endure.
Yeah.
So I guess earlier you mentioned that this is your first podcast. And I think that at the time that it had happened, because I think most of the world was in love with Charlbi as well.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people were in love with her. Even I was like, oh my God, this chick, you know, is insane. So coming out of that experience, it must have been quite probably daunting, also being faced with the magnitude of her following and then also trying to go through this trauma on your own.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you've actually spoken about it properly,
Well,
publicly.
not publicly.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to. I am. I'm happy to talk about it with you.
Yeah. How are you is the ultimate question.
It's such a broad question.
Yeah.
You know, things I've been through. It sounds generic to say roller coaster, but it is true. Because it whips you around, and you're not in control of it. You don't know which direction it's going, and then sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it's terrifying, and things were dark for a good while. Things were really dark for a good amount of time, and I made a lot of irrational, life-threatening choices because, you know, I'd been back in Cape Town for about a month, and my sister and I were on a walking the dogs in Hart Bay, and she asked me same question. She was like, how are you? I've been back for about a month. So this was maybe mid-November in 2022, and I said to her, to be honest, I think about killing myself every day. And my sister's a very emotionally intelligent person, very much. She's a big time empath. She and I share a birthday, we're 2 years apart, and she is a bit of me. I love that chick to death. So I told her I'm having these thoughts, but for the first time ever, but like really. And she said, will you just do me one kindness? If you are ever genuinely thinking about doing it, will you let me know first? And I was quiet for about a minute. And I said to her, Max, I'll promise you right now, I will never kill myself. Because she was actually also the person who said to me, when someone does commit suicide, all you doing is you're shifting how you're feeling onto the next person. But because of that, in my mind, I had thought, well, I'm not killing myself, so anything I do while I'm alive is a bonus for you guys. So I had no regard for life at all for a good while, and things got hairy. So, but then, unfortunately, I've become acutely aware of how important fulfillment and purpose is in life. I only say unfortunately because it sounds cheesy. It's so obvious and so boring, but it's so true. So I was in Germany and I got that call that message from my agent saying, you got to call back for this thing. And I had that meeting with Christian Olvachen, the director of the first film I did, and he told me on the call, like, you've booked this movie as the first movie I've ever booked. And that was a full circle moment from the age of 6. I immediately went into overdrive of self-correcting all of the mistakes I'd been making, all of this erratic, hectic behavior. And I came back and did that movie. And it's not because of the fact that I did that specific movie, but it was because of the fact that a big part of it is I realized this thing you've always wanted is now happening. You are enough to do this thing. You have purpose. You're good at this. And it's something that occupied my days. And then things were great. And then you have lull periods and things aren't great, but still much better. So if I think back to where I was a year and a half ago, it's not even close. Not even close. Totally different person.
I would like to add this point in, and you can also help comment on it. But you mentioned earlier when we were chatting about this, that part of the reason the director was so gravitated towards you was because of your experience as well. Yeah. Obviously, there's a talent to do the job, because that would be idiotic to hire someone who couldn't show up.
Yeah.
But it was the capacity of your experience, which makes me curious as to what was the character and how does that correlate?
So the film is called A Kind of Madness, by the way. Ironically, I was at, when you and I were talking before I came here, I was at Blondie, and I saw Jade, who is the wife of the DOP on the film, director of photography, who's holding the camera for the whole thing, Adam Bentel, prince of a man. Jade's also smashing of a person. And she told me she had just watched the first cut of the film, and she said it looks awesome.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm so pumped to hear that, because I've never seen myself on film ever. Never seen myself in a fucking movie before. Yeah. What? You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, to answer the question,
the correlation of you and the character.
So it's a very touching love story featuring dementia. There is tragedy in there, big time, and there's comedic notes as well. It's right up my alley. You know, I'm a guy who is, you know, one of the centerpieces of this narrative that is about a tragedy that's ongoing, trying to make light out of it, trying to provide some levity. And I don't feel guilty anymore acknowledging that from beyond the grave, Charlbi has given me a lot of leg ups. And one of them is I immediately became a better actor. I realize now that I don't have to go out of my way in the right context for someone to look at me and see that there has been some shit happen to me in my eyes. And it sounds like, you know, super like vague and maybe like obtuse to say. But my buddy Mackenzie, the bass player of my band, put it perfectly. She said, she was talking about a song, beautiful song. And she said, the song is written by this guy, but he brought in this other guy to sing it. And the reason he did that is because he himself doesn't sound like he's ever been through anything hectic in his life. And the guy he brought in sounds like he's had 1,000 women break his heart. And you can hear it. And I heard that, and I applied that immediately to my own life, as we do, because we are all narcissists. And I thought, I haven't gone out of my way at all. And I became a way better actor. And it's true.
Mm. Would you say that, I guess I can completely see, and not even see, I agree that is an accurate statement, absolutely, because it just stretches you, and not to make it about me, but to correlate the story, is that...
This is about both of us.
Yeah. I've experienced a lot of depression and stuff in my life, and a lot of loneliness, and like a lot of like deep pain. And I would always almost describe it as if I had like a cavern in my chest. Like it was just like hollow, like a complete, like just a canyon, a cave, like, empty space, in which now I can see the beauty in that is there's room to hold so much more.
Yeah.
Like it's
a great way to put it.
It's erosive and it was painful, but there's just now this like vessel that you can carry all these, everything, a lot, for other people, just in terms of life experience. So I can see how what you're saying is like absolutely true.
Yeah.
The question I have, interestingly, is that I was recently watching Blonde, actually, that movie. It's about Marilyn Monroe. But
my buddy Anna de Armas.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, she's an old friend of Charlbi's.
Okay.
She's lovely.
Yes.
She's awesome.
And in the one scene, when she's playing Marilyn is coming in to do an audition for a role, which very closely correlates her upbringing with her mother trying to kill her and all the stuff. And I think she plays a mother who wants to kill her children or kill herself or something along those lines. Like, it's quite intense. And the way that they portray Marilyn Monroe, or Anna, who is portraying Marilyn Monroe in the movie, when she comes in to do her audition, which she fucking smashes out the park, but the room of directors or, people who are like casting directors watching her do this performance, when she leaves the room, they're like, wow, like that was interesting. And they actually said like she seemed more like a mental patient than what she did an actress, because she went so deep into some place that it's like you can definitely tap into that, and it does absolutely influence every cell in your body because you're reliving a pain. And I guess my question is like, is it safe? Do you feel safe doing that, going there?
I hear you. I don't do that. Well,
you
I
don't?
try to not. So that's method.
Okay.
That's method acting. Like a...
Method acting, give us I mean, I guess, okay, so method acting is like if you were pretending to be a cowboy, like Matthew McConaughey, I think he did like method acting to begin with. He was playing a character and he'd like wake up in the morning and drink tequila first thing and go for like a 20K run barefoot. That's method acting.
Right.
Okay, but this is just accessing a part of yourself that exists.
Yeah, okay, again, back to the fact that I haven't gone to acting school. I feel bad for not actually knowing this. I think it might be Stanislavski. I don't know. But what you're talking about, I have tried it, and it can work, of course, if you're in a pinch and you really need to feel something. But I personally don't like to do that mostly because if it doesn't work, then you get frustrated, and then you've unfairly compared the person or the situation that you're hoping is going to fuel you to be better at your job to the person or the situation that you're dealing with currently. And that's not a fair comparison. The two have nothing to do with each other.
So then how do you draw that emotion up?
By being present. You genuinely and organically develop love for the person that you're acting with, and you understand the material, and you move through it together. I know that I've been through shit. So I don't draw on that to make me look like I'm feeling a certain way.
Okay.
That has happened to me.
Okay.
So my brain knows how to feel like that because it's done it before. I don't like to act I like to, if you and I are doing something together and we have material that we've worked on together, this is what we're doing. That has happened to me. My brain knows that it's been sad before. And if you and I are put together on this project with a good director, he has chosen us specifically. And you and I already, it's been established that you and I have good chemistry. So now this is just between you and me, what's happening here. That's what acting is for me. It's honest.
It is, actually. It has to be.
Yeah. I don't like to do that because, to answer your question, I don't find that safe.
Yeah.
I don't think you might get an amazing performance, but at what cost?
Exactly.
How many times, I mean, you also have, realistically, you have, let's say, like 6 takes.
Jesus.
And
imagine.
the six takes can take 5 hours.
Yeah. I'm just re-traumatizing yourself,
Yeah,
basically.
and you're going to do that several times in that project. How many times do you really need to do that yourself? That has already happened to me. The reason that I'm on this project, or you're on this project, is because it reads that we can relate to this material. You don't have to access, you don't have to tap into that shit. You just need to be present and honest.
Okay, that's insightful, because I think I've done like acting for film, and it's not to like derail from the gravity of everything that we've been talking about.
Not at all.
It's just more about drawing on pain, I think, is the question, and also your career.
Yeah.
So I've done acting for film course with ACT Cape Town. It's like a 3-month thing.
Yeah, I've looked into that.
And
They're legit.
yeah, I was absolutely terrified, completely out of my comfort zone. I think I hated every second of it, but I did it anyway. What do you need?
I'm trying to grab some lip balm.
Okay, so wait, I'm going to get back into where I was at.
I want a cigarette.
I'm sorry I was boring you with my story.
No, I was loving it.
Okay, wait.
Bro, I genuinely can't stand the fact that I've been talking about myself for however long we've been doing this.
It's okay.
It's
this
horrible.
Is the point. So I'm going to like, let's play a little bit of conversational badminton. How
Sweet.
about that?
Cool.
So did the acting course, like a cool cowabunga dude, and
What acting course?
with ACT Cape Town, acting
okay,
for
wait.
film.
Yeah.
Acting for film.
Yes.
Super awkward. Also, always felt like I was going to be a star. Like, I've always had that feeling. I guess maybe now I'm stepping into what that really means.
Yeah, you give it off.
Yeah, but I think like...
Genuinely, you do.
Thank you.
For real.
Thank you. And yeah, so I tried the whole acting thing as well. Thought it was going to be lacquer. Enjoyed it. I've done a lot of TVCs through modeling. So I obviously do have something that I can bring to the table. But my absolute like pits is when, okay, you're casting for a job, then they put the camera in your face, and then it's like, okay, we're going to say a word, an emotion, and then you need to give them happy, excited, angry, sad. And like, I can always crush sad, but that's because that is the easiest emotion for me to access.
Yeah.
And I can just be like, think about one, like, you know what I mean? You just think about a person and I'll be like, sad.
Yeah.
So
that's easy as hell.
It's an easy route.
Well, drama is not nearly as difficult as comedy.
I know. That's true.
But
Comedy's
yes,
fucking hard.
but to your point, that is the worst, because that's like a gross, sterile way to do it.
And also with 2 seconds between each one, that is the most unrealistic.
It's suff.
It's suff. It's so suff. It's a perfect word, and then it's like becomes performative.
But the thing is, so something to keep in mind is you're doing that for a commercial, right? A commercial spot is 30 seconds. Your piece in that commercial is going to be
0.5 seconds.
Right. So that's all they got. So that is it's very different to if you are to varying degrees, if you're at the helm of a narrative story that is going to last for 2 hours.
I almost feel like that, without being derogatory, I want to say is easier, but is more natural.
Absolutely.
To have a script.
Absolutely,
To have a
bro.
character, and then be like, okay, I can like get into this. I can like settle into this.
100%.
Then you deliver. But like this, like
100%.
happy, sad, angry. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, something else to remember is, like, if you have gotten to the point where if you've been cast, if you've been offered a role in a film, the director, producers like how you play that character that they've written, right? Or that has been written. So all you have to do, genuinely, is just be the most honest version of yourself. Obviously, you have to fucking know your lines.
Yes.
But you genuinely just have to have to, and it happens organically, which is lovely. You establish a genuine connection with the people that you're talking to and what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's very different to someone having a camera in your face and saying, okay, now your boyfriend just broken up with you.
Yeah.
Oh, but now he just bought you a car.
But now you're looking into a waterfall and it's spraying on your face.
Exactly.
Mermaid dived out.
Exactly.
Stole your handbag.
Now she cheated on you. Husband cheated on you with his mermaid.
Then Aaron just texted you saying he's sleeping with the mermaid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's very different. Commercials are. That's why there is a, in my mind and in most actors' minds, there's a big difference between modeling and acting.
Let's not get too sidetracked because
I mean, I love talking about this.
we were having a serious conversation before.
Right.
We took our break.
Yes.
And I guess I wanted to then ask you, based on everything that we're saying and like the safety or the unsafety of tapping into that, it actually brings me a great level of relief hearing that that's not the method that you use.
Well,
because I don't know why I just assumed, maybe it's because that's how I would do it as I described.
That is the general fallback.
Yeah.
So I'll put it this way. Actors that I know personally generally have two different approaches. The one approach is bring up feelings, live as that person, pure method, become that guy or that girl, or everything in between. God, become that person for months leading up to it. Live as that person. And the other approach is, this is my job, and I'm good at it. It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
So my approach is,
this is my job and I'm good at it.
I'm maybe like a 7. If 10 is this is my job, I'm like a 7. I'm good at it, but I also love it. But I also know that if you do go full method, it becomes an inconvenience to everyone around you. I learned this on set.
And yourself, probably.
No. Well, no. It's self-imposed. It's self-imposed inconvenience. So you're just sitting in your pure narcissism there, which is fine. Everyone's approach is their fucking approach, which is amazing. If you are genuinely like passionate about doing it, about anything, and you have your specific way of going about it, more power to you. Love it. Love to see it. But I can tell you from experience, my limited experience, that's if someone's going method on set, it is irritating because it's not necessary.
I don't know. It's a tough one.
You weren't method when you got cast in the role, and if you just be present and with the material and with the people that you're working with, you don't really need to do that.
I guess so. I think that, I think.
But
that
again, everyone's
everyone
approach
has
is
their
perfect.
own approach. I guess.
All I'm saying is and it's well documented. It's just not my.
Yeah.
It's not just my opinion.
Yeah. No.
It is irritating.
I'm sure it's irritating. I'm sure it's completely irritating.
But yeah, that's my approach.
I think that one of the things that I love about acting and even doing the acting courses that I have.
Do you like movies?
I love movies.
Do you?
Yeah.
Aware.
It's exactly what you've said now is about presence. And it's kind of like an unexpected lesson. If you're not in the industry or you haven't done it or you haven't gone for an acting course or whatever it is, it's not something that you think would come out of it. Mm-hmm. But it's that like.
Well, it's the same as like
attentiveness.
I often draw a comparison between being an actor and being a therapist. And one of, just for like a few convenient reasons. And one of them is, I think that there are two of the jobs, they're the first two that come to mind where you need to be present. You need to be listening.
Yeah, and responding, exactly.
Exactly. But that's all acting really is.
Yeah.
And I say this at the risk of all the highbrow actors that are way better than me, way more trained, that will never fucking book as much shit as me because they're just dorks. Cut that. Sorry.
Not cutting it. I'm not cutting it.
You don't have to. But a lot of actors take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
And that's irritating. It's not necessary. It's a beautiful thing to get to do, and it's a privilege. You don't have to abuse it. You don't have to you know, be a burden to everyone around you for 2 months leading up to it.
Yeah.
Unless.
But I guess it's, everyone, each to their own. Like, not everyone might be as confident or cocky as you are.
Brilliant.
And that's also fine. If being serious about it helps you feel like you're prepared, then that's great.
Right.
It is, at the end of the day, a very revealing, very vulnerable career path.
Yes.
It's
So
fucking hectic.
I suppose that is the exact point I was actually trying to get to, but I got derailed there because I immediately acknowledged I was being a dickhead. If you've done your preparation genuinely, authentically, you're going to get there on the day.
Yeah.
You don't need to take yourself that fucking seriously. However,
maybe you do if you're being a diabolical character.
I've never been in a position where I was a contender for an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm brand new, so
yeah, exactly.
let me give it a try and I'll get back to you next time we do this.
Please. I feel like you're going to have to go there. Because, like, imagine someone was like, okay, cool, Luke, role is a hermaphrodite who then actually decided that he wanted to get a sex change to be a woman, but then, do you know what I mean? Like, and then now all of a sudden there's all these layers and there's all these nuances. Of course, you're going to have to go hang out in a queer community and in a gay bar and like be hit on and know the seediness of those experiences that the character went through. Like, it's hard to just draw an imagination for it to feel completely genuine. So I think there is merit in taking it seriously.
Okay. Yes. If I can be, this is a safe space, right?
Yeah.
If I can be vulnerable with you for a second.
Of course.
I do regret some of the tangent that I just went on.
Okay, that's fine.
Because
we can cut that out.
Oh, we can keep it.
Okay.
I kind of love it.
Okay.
I'm back in a space where I'm trying to not think about things before they happen. But I'll say this very vaguely. I have a project coming up that's shooting in Paris, hopefully, where I'm going to have to go method. So, like I said...
So what was your tangent about earlier then?
Well, I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
So I haven't...
You're going to be the irritating guy on set.
So this is... Well, it's because...
You're going to irritate people.
The lead is also the director, and she's method.
Okay.
And I realized after... It's a very intimate film. It's very much centered around just two people. And if she's going to be method, I realize I'm going to have to as well. Or else it's going to drive me fucking crazy. Do you want some ice?
You're going to be irritating. I'm just basing it on everything that you've just said about how, like, you don't have to be that irritating.
Well, no, the two of us will both be method, so it'll be nice.
Well, maybe not for, like, the DOP.
Exactly. So we'll be irritating to everyone else, but
Absolutely.
not to each other.
Yeah.
So
do you take anything back that you've said?
Yes, plenty.
Okay.
But this is the thing. I by the way, I walk around in the world knowing that I'm generally, like, most of the time wrong.
Yeah, that's great. You can also change your mind. I love that.
Exactly.
Completely in the moment.
It's very low stakes for me to have said some shit that I regret saying immediately.
BT dubs.
Bro, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
I say random shit and then regret it immediately.
Yeah.
But what I will say is I haven't experienced going method for a project before. Mm-hmm. So I look forward to it.
Cheers. Again. Cheers, Chaim. So no, it's
Excuse
actually...
me.
Oh, I didn't do it again. I'm sorry. I'm so rude. This is really bad luck. Okay.
It's not bad luck.
One more
It's
time.
just...
Okay, cheers.
It's just bad decorum.
Yeah,
Cheers,
it is.
Anyway,
Can I educate you on something quickly
hit me.
before we get super derailed? This is part of the derailing, I guess. Did you know? So I have a weird fetish for etiquette.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it so much.
Yeah.
And I love knowing the right and the wrong ways to do things.
Right.
I like it. It makes
Yeah.
me feel happy. So, by the way, completely unclassy to actually clink your glasses.
I know.
You should just air cheers.
But that's just for
Cheers.
ladies.
No, it's for everyone.
Do you know the folklore behind it, cheers? Where it comes from? If this makes sense to the pod or not. It is quite interesting. So the folklore behind it is that back in the Nordic days, it comes from the Viking era. In those days, obviously, they didn't use glasses. They had mugs
Like
made out
horn.
of hide.
Yeah, hide, okay.
Very robust. And back in those days, it was hip to poison the king.
Oh yeah, cool. Totally in fashion.
So everyone that was important would sit at the same table, and they would cheers each other in the middle of the table
all their
hard,
drinks.
so that everyone gets a drop of each other's drink, just in case there was some poison. That's the folklore behind it.
Okay.
It's kind of sweet, eh?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Are we sure this isn't a smoking flight?
I'm 100% sure. But we can go have a smoke and come back if you would like to.
Am I derailing this pod?
It's fine. We have been recording for about 1.5 hours, which is long for me.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I'm
I
enjoying
reckon
myself.
so.
100%. So
Do you normally enjoy pods as much as you are now?
I do actually.
Okay, well,
Let's go smoke
a
and
bit
then
of
we'll
a
come
bummer.
back.
Yeah, we
Okay.
need to have a smoke break. Just so you know, guys, if a podcast isn't live, you do take smoke breaks if you have the affliction. Also, shout out to cigarettes because they're back. Vapes are for dorks, honestly.
Babe. No, I agree. Like,
Not to alienate some of your audience, but honestly, guys, grow up.
grow up, start smoking cigarettes.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, get real.
Also, completely take that with a pinch of salt. We're not advocating for people to smoke because
I am.
actually advertising smoking is illegal.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not advertising it.
But we are saying that in our personal life choices, I would always go with the devil that I know than the devil I don't.
Aware.
And I know cigarettes and I know what they can do. I know. We've seen it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know what vaping does.
Well, yeah. I mean, a very smart friend of mine told me his smartest friend said to him that when you smoke, if you quiche a whole vape in a day, it's 80 cigarettes.
It's also just so
Have you ever tried to quit smoking vapes versus quit smoking cigarettes? Very different scenario.
Yeah, very different scenario. Because like smoking cigarettes, it's a labor of love. You
Yeah.
have to go find somewhere to smoke.
Yeah.
It tastes pretty bad. I mean, it tastes amazing if you're a smoker.
There's a whole pageantry to it, though.
Yeah.
There's a protocol.
Whereas a vape, you can lie in bed and smoke. And a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
Like,
we
they wake up.
all have.
Yeah, and just fucking... Okay. So... Where were we?
Need some sage.
Yeah, I actually have a bunch of sage, actually.
Please
but
don't.
I won't until after the podcast. Just kidding. I'm not kidding, actually.
Love the haircut.
Thank you.
Have I mentioned that yet?
No, you haven't mentioned that.
Brew.
Thank
Okay,
you.
on a personal note
Yes.
and a genuine note.
Tell me.
ASMR. most people, especially women. Okay, let's be specific with women. Most women cannot pull it off. It looks so fucking good.
Thank you.
It looks really cool.
Thank you.
I can't speak to what it's going to look like in 3 months when you have like a little fro.
When I have to wear a beanie.
But bro, it looks fucking cool.
Thank you.
Yes.
I feel like that as well. I think as soon as I did it, I was like, why have I not looked like this?
Yeah.
I almost feel like I reverse aged, which is also weird. I just don't know. I just feel like I look better.
Look youthful.
Somehow.
Also,
Yeah.
shout out to Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a prince.
He is. He's
Truly.
a king. Yeah. Okay. So Sakuto all the way to Mexico. We were talking about acting. We were talking about life experiences. We were talking about pain. We were talking about method acting, which actually you were just shitting on. And then you were like, by the way, I'm going to do method acting. So I'm going to be the annoying person, which I'm glad we've all established. I think, this is a question that I have for you, actually. And it's nice that we've lost our train of thought because it fits in perfectly now.
Amazing.
It's not a part of the train. It's an experience that I have had in podcasting. So earlier we were mentioning how acting is a lot about being present. And if you just ground yourself in the present and you respond and receive and you listen, then a genuine reaction kind of bubbles up.
Yeah.
I have had to learn the skill of listening through this podcast because when I first did it, I would have my questions and I was so anxious that you would be speaking and I'd be like half listening.
Yeah.
And then you would say something and it could have been utterly profound and I would just say, okay.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Next
cool.
question.
So, by the way, yeah, and I know, I swear to God, and when I'd be editing my podcast, I'd be like, oh my God, you're not listening at all.
Yeah.
You're worrying more about how you sound and what you're going to say next.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking about is I'm not present. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next.
Yeah.
Very selfish and non-present way of being. It's not grounded in the present.
Yeah.
I think I've refined that skill drastically and it has
agree.
almost been a year. So there you go. Didn't just happen overnight. But again, preluding. when I also first started the podcast, I would find myself in a conversation with someone. If a friend came to me with an issue and they'd be like, Danny, I'm going through this, and like, la, la, la. We're walking on the promenade. And I've always been told that I have a way of articulating myself and a way of providing like analogies or, you know, pictures in people's minds. Yeah, like I can describe things in a way that they'll be like, wow, that makes sense, you know? So, but then becoming conscious of that and honing that in order to do podcasting, I would find myself in my day-to-day life, if you and I were having a conversation over coffee, imagining that I was on a podcast and being hyper aware of every word that comes out my mouth and whether I'm being intelligent. I was like overly critical and almost had created my own Truman Show where I'm like, where the camera's at, we're rolling right now because let's do this.
Yeah, that
or
makes
if I'm sending a
perfect
voice
sense.
note. Exactly. So I was wondering, being an actor, how what I've just described relates to your experience, and if the performative requirements of pursuing acting can get entangled with everyday life and reality.
Well, to answer that question and to call back to what we were talking about earlier, I've always been a theatrical, bombastic person. Bombastic. So I'm very aware of what you're talking about, but I've always done that. Yeah. It has been important to me since I can remember talking how something is going to land or how present of a listener I'm currently being, because it's just important to me. It always has been. It's not a conscious thing. So to answer your question,
yes,
when I started to pursue acting professionally after moving to America, I didn't change anything. I've always done this.
Okay, so I think my question is in a way in which you are playing an imaginary game that we are being filmed. That like you're taking notes. Like there's actually.
Oh, this is like a subtle therapy session for you. Here we go.
Yeah, it is kind of, but also so I have masterclass and I watch some of the masterclasses and I've actually watched one on comedy because I consider myself a relatively funny person. Oh my God, I wish I could remember his name. He's the guy from like Cheaper by the Dozen.
Is it Steve Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Killer.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and he was saying
I've
how
watched it.
when you're pursuing comedy, you are always looking at where is the joke. And it doesn't even matter if you're like in a very serious situation and you're watching your two best friends about to go through a divorce. It's like, what is real and how do we make that comedic because it's poignant and it resonates with people.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because that's how I feel when I articulate myself. I'm so hyper aware of my vocabulary, how I sound.
Well, okay, so you've obviously something that's all of us have in common that share this affliction that you're talking about, myself included. You have to have an irrational driving force to provide that to whoever's around you. So, for instance, with being hyper aware of what you're saying and how good of a listener you're being and finding the like perfect angle for it, that has to start at a place of like a compulsion to be good at doing that.
That's true.
Right? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Like, it doesn't have to mean that there's a mic on and we're actually rolling.
No,
it's just that it's like a trained.
What I'm saying is the only reason that you would have that is if it has been something that is important to you in your bones. To be that, to have that as part of you. It has to be like a very like prominent thing in your brain and how you go about your life. So being an actor hasn't influenced how I am in the world. How I am in the world influenced the fact that I pursued acting. I've always been like this. I love to listen and connect with people.
Okay, so maybe I should rephrase the question or build onto the question, which is, do you feel as though the way that you are perceived as being an actor, because everyone is like, Luke's an actor, you are this way, Luke is whatever the projection of yourself that you put into the world is, and whatever we've all agreed that you are. Is that something that you feel like you have to maintain by not always being completely authentic, or sometimes you feel like you might have to maintain that lest you disappoint someone's perspective of you?
I don't give a fuck. I will be authentically me always.
So you don't adopt a performative role?
No.
You just are?
Never.
Okay.
I will happily be in a bad mood in front of you.
Okay.
And I've experienced times in my life where I'm not funny. I've also experienced times in my life where I've been funny consistently for like a year and a half, which is the shit, but that's how I'm feeling. And
okay.
I never, the only times I've ever experienced what you're talking about is in the early stages of going to castings for modeling. And it just seems false. I don't like it. It felt so.
What salt? Yeah.
Thank you, Lionista. It felt so foreign to me that I've considered just stopping modeling altogether. Not that long ago, but then I've especially since Charlbi passed, I became totally comfortable with being authentically me all the time. So I'm feeling present talking to you now because I want to be here. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here. And you can relate to that.
Yeah.
If you didn't want me here, I wouldn't be here.
That's true.
If you didn't want to be talking to me now, you wouldn't be.
No.
So that is my answer to that question. Hope I did a reasonable job.
You did. I think what I've noticed, and it is a complete, as you said, it's a mini therapy session for me, because sometimes that's where these questions come from. Because, you're getting to know someone and like correlating it to my own internal experience.
I mean, it makes it better for me when you talk about yourself as well.
Yeah. I think the question that I've asked you comes from a place of my own insecurity in being always the life of the party, always quick with the response, always like energetic and friendly and like magnetic and all these things.
So you feel like that's something that you have to live up to?
Yes.
Something you're obliged to do?
Yes. And I'm almost like, it's my own insecurity where I'm like, will you even still like me if I am having a bad day?
Yes, I can absolutely understand that feeling of having to live up to that. Yes, I can. So like we talked about earlier, I'm totally comfortable with the fact I'm wrong all the time. I'm not always in a don't give a fuck kind of mood. And you do sometimes feel like you have something to live up to. But, it took, and you've probably experienced this as well, it takes something, something might happen in your life that lets you realize that that shit is not important, and the people that know you for you are not going to judge you for not being fucking on all the time. Know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, maybe not obviously, but the reference that you just made now is Charlbi's death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I'll say this.
You were in New York with her at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was there after she passed. I was there for another month with her dad and my mom. And when we finally got on the plane back to Cape Town, the only thing that I promised myself, and I said it out loud on the plane, I said to myself, you're going to feel all of your feelings authentically. That's all. And it changed. It's another one of the benefits that she gave me from beyond the grave. She gave me the self-assuredness to just trust myself and just trust how I'm feeling in a situation and go with that only. No overthinking, not, trying to people please, anything like that. Yeah. So the reason I mention that is because that was what it took for me to realize I need to be comfortable with the level of vulnerability where I acknowledge that I'm not always going to be the coolest possible version of me, the funniest version of me, whatever.
I don't know. I was going to be like, do you want to talk more about the whole, like...
Well, you asked me about Kaniki earlier.
I was asking you about Kaniki.
Shout out to Kaniki.
So Kaniki, give anyone who might not know who Kaniki is. Some context.
For her Instagram is deathbat69. It's because when she was a baby, she looked like a bat when she moved through space. I've also made her bio on Instagram the bat that started COVID, and got into a bit of trouble for that. But my vision for her was that she was a Satanist, so she was only following Satanic Nation, Slipknot, and me. Anyway, so
that's your dog.
Yes, that's my pup. Check her out, Deadbat69.
But what breed is she? A Griffin, something?
Doesn't matter. I'm not gonna say.
You don't want to say it? Okay.
No.
Okay.
You'll figure it out.
Okay. But she looks crazy.
Yeah, she's the hottest dog in the world.
She's super cute.
But
nuts. Looks crazy.
So
I don't know her. She just looks crazy.
I haven't talked about how Charlbi passed away before. How she actually died. So she contracted an incredibly rare infection called capnocytophaga that you get from the saliva of dogs.
Oh, wow.
Since 1976, there's been 200 cases reported worldwide. Charlbi was, she was around like 201. And the mortality rate is super high. And all of the people that passed away from it didn't have a spleen, which I didn't know, because why would you know the function of a spleen in the body? But it's your body's first line of defense for your immune system. So
Charlbi didn't have a spleen? Why? She
got her spleen removed in 2008, I believe, or 9, I think it was 2008, she was in a car accident in Cape Town. They had to remove her spleen. So we would go to a dog park every day for Kaniki in New York, but she didn't kiss other dogs on the mouth. But she used to smooch Kaniki. So it's from Kaniki. Yeah, so I took her.
So wait,
started to.
Is that contagious? Like, could you now?
No.
No. Is it just like a random thing that crops up in the dog's saliva in a certain moment in time?
Yeah, it's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
And I mean, Kaniki's kissed me on the mouth before.
Yeah.
She's kissed people on the mouth before.
Fuck, it's so hectic.
But yeah, so she started to get sick, and she was sick for just about a whole day. And when we went to bed, I said to her, if it starts to get really bad, wake me up. I'll take you to the hospital. She woke me up at about 10 to 5. I got her to the hospital at 5 in the morning, and she died at 5:08 in the afternoon in the ER for 12 hours. It was intense. I still haven't processed it. I know I haven't. I have. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a crier, and it's, it feels stupid to even say, but it's not a flex at all. I've always had an issue crying in front of people, in front of my parents, even. But I have learnt to cry, and unfortunately, the only time that I'm ever really sad is by myself. Because like, if I was feeling really sad and I came here to do this, just by virtue of seeing you, I'm in a better mood. It distracts me. So things have been really tough, but they've also been beautiful. But yeah, so where am I going?
What was her like when she said I'm not feeling well? What was her
her symptoms?
Yeah, what was she feeling?
Flu.
Really?
Stomach fevers, eyes. It was kind of like having the flu and a migraine at the same time. But she was just sick. She was just sick. And once we got to the ER, it started to get worse and worse. And I'm on the phone with her mom and her dad and her brother and my parents and my buddy Mike. Throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember those calls because those are a marker for me in my mind of the progression of how things started to snowball, how much worse it started to get so rapidly. Yeah.
Is that common of how it works? It's like
so basically, it's the Capnocytophaga led to sepsis,
Okay.
and sepsis starts to shut down your organs.
Wild, eh?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just me.
Shocking.
It was just me there.
Fucking unfathomable.
Not to make it about me, but
yeah.
It was just me there, and I had to deliver those phone calls to her parents and to my parents, and yeah, it was hectic.
Almost doesn't seem real.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem real now,
Yeah.
because it seemed incredibly real for a good amount of time, but now when I think of Charlbi, it's in very, very like beautiful, light, nostalgic terms, you know. But yeah, things were hectic. I mean, I will get over it at some point, maybe. Probably not.
Probably not.
It'll stay with me forever.
Yeah, probably not. You can't get over something like that.
No.
Yeah.
But it just becomes part of your life.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, like if I compare where I am now to a year ago, very different. You know this, like you've obviously had loss in your life as well. Or
no, not to that degree.
Dark periods in your life. You know, something that came up a lot, especially when I first got back here, is people would say to me, I can't imagine that level of trauma. And I've inherently knew already, trauma is relative. What feels like a 10 to you and what feels like a 10 to me is not necessarily the same thing, but it's still 10. If something feels like a 10, it's a 10. Something else might happen that becomes the new 10, but something that brings you to that level of darkness within yourself is still that thing.
It's still trauma, but you get like capital T trauma, which is what you went through, or like there's capital T, and then there's like other like lowercase t.
They
can still impact you
absolutely
equally, but there are differences.
Sure, but people would harp on that fact that no, but like what you went through is so much worse, and it might on paper be true for sure, but if you experienced a period of your life where you had dark thoughts about your own life or the taking of it, that was enough to do that for you. So it's not about what the thing was that spurred it. It's about the fact that it was happening. And that's all that ever really meant anything to me.
Yeah.
Because also it's a very isolating thing if someone says, I can't imagine what you've been going through.
Yeah.
You know, there's a slack handful of people that I could then relate to.
Yeah.
So I think as a defense mechanism, I said to myself, trauma is relative. And it is.
It is.
It really is.
It completely is.
Yeah.
Earlier you were talking about having those like thoughts of wanting to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And then you spoke to your sister and you had that conversation with her. And like, I mean, I've never heard it phrased the way that you said she said it, but it's so true when she said it's like taking your pain and you're just passing it on to the next. You're leaving it behind.
You pass it on to your parents, to your siblings, to your partner, to your best friends.
Yeah. Like before I went on my antidepressants, I actually have been like chronically depressed, I think my whole life.
Right.
And I didn't really realize it. And then it just started like reaching
Are you on them
ahead. I'm on, I've been on them for like a year now.
What are you on?
Wellbutrin.
Okay.
Game changer.
I'm familiar.
Game changer.
That's a nice low stakes one.
Yeah. Fucking life changed. Genuinely.
Yeah. That's not a number.
No, it's not at all. Completely not.
Yeah.
And I think like I was also getting to a point where I've always had like these intrusive thoughts of like driving in a car being like, what if I just turned into the traffic? You know, like these kind of like intrusive thoughts.
My sister used to tell me about this all the time.
Yeah. And then I got into like a state where I was literally like, I'm done. I'm out. Can't do it. I genuinely want to off myself because this carrying on in the current trajectory is just unbearable.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing something else. It's not this. And I remember I was actually sitting downstairs. There's a coffee shop just below here called Cafe Chiffon.
Shout out to Cafe Chiffon.
Such a vibe, great cakes. And I was sitting there working and I was just like, okay, in a bit of a dark space. And then I remember sitting and like researching because I'm quite spiritual, what are the karmic ramifications of suicide? and being like, because I'm going to do this thing, but like, what am I actually doing? What am I actually kicking off?
What are you in for?
What am I actually doing?
Yeah.
And it sounds like there's a common thread, but at least between us, and like one of the reasons that I wasn't like super far on the journey. I hadn't like planned the whole thing, but I was.
But you were on the journey.
I was there, yeah. And the thing that turned the ship around for me, where I was like, it will never happen, is because I was like, then Aaron becomes the boyfriend who had a girlfriend who killed herself. My dad becomes the father who had a daughter who killed herself. My best friends become the friend who had a friend who killed themselves. And I was like, that's just the most reckless, damaging thing.
Yeah.
And it's not to shit on anyone.
That's
like
pure destruction.
People who've done it, like we could never comprehend being in it. Like we can, but also can't. There's no judgment on them for having chosen that path.
Never.
Like can see why you would respect it, but also that was for me. I was like, okay, can't happen because I just could never do that to someone. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very. I mean, in our own individual capacities, we're lucky that that notion came into our lives when it did.
Yeah.
On that very, very light note that we just had there.
Yes. What?
You haven't acknowledged my shorts yet.
But what? Tell me about them. They look like rugby shorts that you had from like a matric.
2009, bro.
Okay.
These are my rugby togs.
Yeah, I can tell.
The only reason they fit me is because rugby shorts
they've
are
been
big.
Torn.
No, well they are big. They're like thick to fit your, because you have to like hang on to them in the scrum and stuff.
Yeah.
These are my lucky shorts.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you wearing them for the podcast because they're your lucky shorts? Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's amazing.
You didn't even ask, bro.
I didn't. No. I mean.
Yeah, because you're caught up in your own vibe.
I'm just too self-obsessed. I'm too worried about how I sound and like how this is going to go down. Okay, well, thank you for sharing. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to. We'll be here for the next 5 hours if we don't.
Yeah.
Eventually put a bow on it.
Yes. The next time I do this pod, you and I are only talking shit the whole time. It's only gonna be laughs, because this might be entertaining, but it's gonna be very like dark and deep, bro.
I don't think it's dark and deep, bro.
All right. Well, let's see.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Fine. I can't guarantee that we're only gonna speak shit, but we can maybe talk about funny things.
Right.
Yeah, which could be considered shit.
Okay.
But okay. Anything you want to say in closing?
To
your fans.
What I wanted to say, and I'm not
shout-out.
mandated to do this, but I just check out A Kind of Madness. It'll be on Prime Video. Not sure when. I think maybe in April. And also just no, nothing else. That's all.
Follow Luke on.
No, please don't.
No, I was going to say that anyway.
My Instagram's
please
a nightmare.
In actual fact,
follow
unfollow
Kaniki
him.
actually. Deathbat69. Yeah, that's fine. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed our time together. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Nice, me too.
It's been real. It's been real. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please will you follow me on Spotify and leave me a rating if you've listened to a few episodes. Follow Luke on Instagram. I will leave his Instagram link or bio, whatever.
It's not worth your time.
In the description of this podcast. So you can follow what he's up to and just keep tabs on everything. And also, if he
I want to check out the Patreon.
Oh, yes, Patreon. Exactly.
Sorry. I want to check out the Patreon because you have a few episodes on there that
are unreleased.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to hear those.
Yes. So I was actually about to get there. Thank you for the segue.
So sorry.
Amazing. Please will you also, if you would like to, get some exclusive content on the podcast, I have a Patreon account. The link for that is in my Instagram bio. I probably will actually add it to my Spotify bio now that I'm talking about it. Essentially, it's a subscriber-based platform, and you have to subscribe. It's only $5 a month, 100 Rand if you do the math.
It's all the good stuff.
All the good stuff, all the cheeky stuff, all the stuff that I can't actually release on Spotify because it might be too spicy.
All the rad stuff that we might have talked about here that you wouldn't hear on Spotify is going to be on there. And there's way better episodes on there. Stuff about sex and whatnot.
We will have definitely a very Patreon
aware
PG level podcast at some point that you have to pay us to watch. Anyway, have an amazing day. Thank you for watching and listening. Goodbye.